Hello, tiny friends. Welcome back to TinyKeyHoleMinis. I'm Jolene, and today is a repost of the original tours of the Josephine House. So this is part 1, and this is what the house looked like when I first received it back in 2014. I wanted to take these down and redo the audio. Unfortunately, there isn't much that I could do about the footage because of the camera that I was using back when I first started my channel. When I first saw this house, my vision for it was to create a 1930s farmhouse. I wanted it to be as realistic as I could possibly get it, and I wanted it to be really old. And the story of the Josephine House is that it used to be a school for girls back in the 1800s that plummeted and declined due to the plagues and Great Depression that came through. The school eventually closed, and whoever owned it or bought it decided to renovate it into a house and create a farm. A young couple came along and purchased the house and grew old together in the house. The old man passed away some time ago, and the old lady is still living there to this day, who is Miss Margot. She's in her 70s, and she's an old battle axe. I have created her as my first sculpted doll, and most of you know of her today. As I go along and work on the house, I tell more of her story, and we learn more of the old man who was her husband. I'm sure some of you have seen me work on some of these spaces, and they look quite differently today than what you're seeing here. I worked a little bit on the bathroom, and other than that, I just filled it with things that I had or things that I made. As I go through the rooms, I'm going to talk about the pieces that you see now, any of the plans that I had or have completed. And I will also link any videos that are related to any of the inspiration that I had or the pieces that you see. And just a quick update on my email. I did update my email. It is now TinyKeyHoleMinis.com. You can find the new email address in my bio, and I will also create a community post as well. So today we're going to start with the living room. Okay, starting with this side wall, I'm just going to move my way around the room, starting from here. I knew that I originally wanted to make this wall a photo wall with family photos going all the way up along the stairs. I didn't plan on changing the wall. I just planned on filling it with photos in different frames and over exaggerating it, because back in those days they would have an over exaggerated photo wall with different frames and different styles. So I did complete this wall, and if you have seen that video or know what it looks like today, it's a completely different wall. It goes all the way up to the second floor ceiling, and I have also extended the photos all the way up to that point as well. Moving on to the rugs, I did print those out on printable fabric, and I made them myself, including the runner going up the steps. I will try to link the video that I watched and learned from, and if there's enough info on when I worked on the runner, I will link that video as well. It's a nice DIY that you can do yourself, and this is a way that you can save yourself some money and also be proud of something that you've created on your own. So I did change out the runner going up the steps, and I also replaced the support bars and just updated them a little more. So the runner going up the steps is a totally different rug today. Next, I'm going to talk about this little ashtray. And this is the iconic ashtray stand that has been around for decades and decades. And when I was growing up, I remember seeing these ashtrays all around, including the hospitals. I really didn't want smokers in the house, but I wanted to add this ashtray because it was so nostalgic to me. The old man did smoke every now and then, and they do have company that may smoke. So I filled it with ashes and cigarettes. This was one of the first ashtray stands that I did create, so I have improved the ashtray stands since then. Originally, I learned how to create the cigarettes and ashes from Shira at Queen City Minis, and I will link that video below. I will also link a new technique from Bentley and how she created cigarettes. I find both techniques to be very successful and realistic, and I enjoy using both techniques. So, getting a close-up view, you can see that I have put some lipstick stains on some of the cigarette butts. There are ashes in there. I don't know how well you can see the footage, how clear it may be. I just created this one out of antique metal buttons, beads, and a wooden skinny stick. But I have, like I said, upgraded the technique since then. I do go around and dust the house from time to time, but because I wanted it to be old, I do leave some of the natural dust uh, collected where it would normally sit. I mean, she is an old lady and it is hard for her to clean everything, so you're going to see a little bit of dust around the house, or maybe a lot of dust. And even if I tried to create the dust, you just can't get more authentic than the real dust that settles. Okay, moving on to this club chair. Some of these pieces I do not have a tutorial for because I did make it before my channel. In the top corner, you'll see the inspiration chair that I chose. This was one of the very first pieces of furniture that I ever made, and I wanted it to look like leather. I didn't have leather at the time, so I used Mod Podge to coat the fabric. I feel like I can still get more of a leathery look today, but I did wear down the seat cushion from where the old man used to always sit because this was his chair. I wanted it to look a little bit old. Miss Margot likes to leave some of the old man's belongings as put, so you'll see that there is the newspaper stuffed in the side of the chair. It's probably the last newspaper he ever read, and the blanket draping over it. You can see underneath there's a lot of hot glue, and I left it as is because you can't really see that anyways. I don't want to change out this chair because I really like it, and again, it was one of the first pieces that I ever made, so it's going to stay as is. I've learned so much since then that if I made another one, it would definitely be an upgraded version. So they do have a little fur baby. This is their dog. His name is Po Boy. The old man would call him and say, "Come on, Po Boy," but they just call him Po for short. He would follow the old man around the farm or when he went fishing, and I really don't know how long I've had him or where I got him, but he was in my stash. This is a dog bed that I created for him. I since purchased another one, and you can see the size difference. So I made this one before my channel when I first got the house. So this was back in 2014, I believe. And I keep it around, because it does remind me of my progress, and it's a bigger, more comfortable bed. It is a bed for a bigger dog, but Po Boy loves the space in it. And there's a little dog bone that I created as well when I first made the bed. When I get to working on the living room, I'm going to replace this dog bone with more realistic dog bones, and I'll just randomly place them around the house and the farm, and you'll be able to see where Po likes to leave his bones. Since this video was originally posted, I did do a little bit of work in the living room, but I haven't really spent a lot of time. So a lot of the space in the living room still looks the same, including the fireplace. I do have plans to work on the fireplace and just add its accessories to it. I also created these candlesticks that go inside these old candlestick holders. I made the candlesticks out of polymer clay wrapped around a single strand of string. Most strings and threads are made with 3 strands, and if you pull them apart, you can get a more accordingly scale. Here is a decorative glass pottery dish with a lid. I really can't remember where I purchased this, Tiny Friends. It might have been off of eBay or Amazon, but there were a couple colors. There were a darker blue, kind of like a goldish orange, and I really loved the green. The lid really didn't fit into place correctly, so I just tacked it down. But I really love this dish. It's a very nice piece. It sits on this little lace doily that I created, and this was super easy to make just from little cuts of lace ribbon. I created several of these and I just placed them around the furniture pieces. The fall time grapevine wreath I made with dried flowers, and I also created these tiny little pods of cotton. So they have little cotton pods. These are made from real cotton pods that I picked myself here in the South. And I really wanted to include them and create a fall time like wreath. I did create a few different sizes of this wreath. I believe there might be one or two still listed in my Etsy shop. I will return to Etsy when I do return to my studio. My shop will reopen up and I will be refilling it with new creations. Fun fact about growing cotton here in the South, you're not allowed to. You have to get special permission and have special inspections. Even if you're growing it for decorative purposes or you just have one or two in your garden, because of the southern states being known for growing cotton, there is a very strict law and fear of the weevil beetle, which will come and destroy fields and fields of cotton. And if you get one, they multiply very quickly, and before you know it, you'll have a swarm and a mass outbreak of the weevil beetle. And these states pretty much have the weevil beetle in control now. So that is why you need the special permission. And that is just something that I learned from research, because when I did pick these cotton pods, I wanted to take the seeds and grow a couple of the cotton plants in my garden. Thank gosh I did research on that, because I did not know that. And it's a very hefty fine if you're the cause of a mass outbreak of these weevil beetles. At the time I did this video, the wreath was just going to be placed over the mantle temporarily. Although I do love the way it looks over the mantle, I had originally planned on creating a large antique tilted mantle mirror. That was one of the last projects that I did create before taking this very long break. So the wreath is down, and now there is a large antique tilted mantle mirror sitting above the fireplace. I love putting Easter eggs in my projects, even if it doesn't fit the time and era of the project. So you're going to see a lot of those in the Josephine House, and this is one of them. This is the Beetlejuice Handbook for the Recently Deceased. I just had to have this in the Josephine House. I created it and I placed it on a little side table next to Miss Margot's chair. She began reading this book when she lost her husband. Okay, this chair here is the second chair that I ever made, and the furniture pieces that you see in the living room are actually the first furniture pieces that I ever made on my own. This Queen Anne chair is designed by Ira Bentley at Bentley House Minis. She has a free template and a nice tutorial for this chair. I will link that in the description box below if you would like to make one for yourself. This is Miss Margot's chair. I created it to be kind of older looking and a little more worn out. My sister gave me this little pillow and I found it in my stash, so I just stuck it there for Miss Margot. It's very comfortable for her. And yeah, I'm very proud of this chair. But I did make a second one that you'll see later on. For the legs, I just used chopsticks, and they were already kind of tapered at the bottoms. I just stained them, cut them down, and glued them into place. This is Miss Margot's sitting chair where she likes to soak her feet in her basin. And if you have seen me make Miss Margot, then you know her feet come off and I'm able to sit her legs inside her soaking basin. So if you would like to make one for yourself, they're super easy. Just click that link below. Okay, I created the Ottoman, and I do believe I was inspired by Bentley House Minis project. I believe Ara created an Ottoman, and it looks a little different than this. I wanted mine to be a little puffier on top with more of a rounder dome. And I also have an imprint in the middle where Miss Margot likes to rest her legs. It was so long ago, but if I can find that video for you, I'll link that as well. Moving on to the sofa. I absolutely love this sofa. I made this sofa inspired by a tutorial that I found. I just really can't remember these days, but there is definitely a tutorial on this sofa, and I will link it in the description box below. My sofa is, of course, customized according to the day and age of the Josephine House, and I wanted to add this stack of books for legs because as I was looking at references of how I wanted to customize my sofa, I found this picture and it had a stack of books for the leg. I fell in love with that idea and concept, so I added that as well. But I have seen pieces since then where you'll see a stack of books for a leg, maybe on a chair or a piece of furniture. I believe I just recently watched Whitney Labrie do Alice in Wonderland chair where she had a stack of books for the leg. It's a common idea now. Back when I did this, I believe I only saw one other piece of furniture throughout my research, and that was an image on Pinterest. But this is definitely a common thing. So it would not surprise me that it is now a common idea. When I showed my mom, she told me that that was very common in her day and age when she was a kid. So it's the iconic book stack leg. The sofa was constructed a little more organized and a bit of a better craftsmanship than the club chair. There's not a lot of glue oozing out, and it's completely finished underneath. I just absolutely love the sofa. The blanket that's hanging over the back is still a temporary piece. I feel like I have a better piece to place over the back of this now, so I will be switching that out later on. I'm not fully satisfied on the solution I came up with for draping it around the back. I still kind of have mixed feelings over this, but it may possibly get switched out later on. I handmade these pillows, and I love slouchy pillows, and you can mold them and shape them. So if you just fill your pillows with seed beads instead of cotton, you can get that old slouchy look that some of those older pillows have. I'm going to go to this back corner and pull out this curio cabinet. This is a very old piece that I've had in my stash for I don't know how long. And the windows are real glass. The shelves are real glass. This is where Miss Margot likes to keep her special collections from around the world. Before they were parents, she got to travel a little bit with her husband because he was in the military. And she collected some lovely bottles from India. These bottles were made from really decorative beads and tiny metal tidbits. I don't even know if I have any more of these beads. but I just thought they made a lovely collection of bottles and vases. I'm sorry if the footage isn't very clear. We'll get a better look at this when I get back to work on the living room. On the top shelf is a lovely ceramic owl that I found in an antique store. They had a small selection of minis, and I loved the owl. My mom used to collect owls when I was growing up, so it was very nostalgic for me. On the wall, we have another Easter egg. This is the Grady girls from the movie The Shining. And you probably know I'm a big fan of The Shining. Last October, I did a replica project of room 237 using a Bentley House Minis room box kit. You'll see a few more pieces from The Shining around the house. This table, I'm going to pull this table out. This is a Dollar Tree table when they used to sell these tables. I don't think they sell them anymore. I haven't seen any. Here is another iconic Easter egg. This is one of my favorite all-time pieces, the leg lamp. I believe I purchased this one from Target online for about $10. It does light up. It's battery operated. Since this video, I have revamped this lamp and upgraded it just a little bit. I added the crushed velvet onto the lampshade and a pull chain. I also added a cord with a plug. So this now plugs into an outlet on the wall that isn't there right now in this video, but it is there today. The old man was very fond of this lamp. It wasn't just any old lamp. This was a trophy. This lamp is a major award, and although Miss Margot may not be so fond of it, she still leaves it on this table and in front of that window as her husband would have it no other way. He would probably roll over in his grave if she ever took it down or did anything to it. Times were simpler back then, and she knows how proud her husband was to display this major award. Here is another Easter egg from the original Beetlejuice movie. This is the booklet or magazine that we see at the end of the movie. And Charles is actually reading this one. This one's called The Living and the Dead. And I just filled it with fun, colorful pages from the movie, from the cartoon, and other creepy things. It just sits on this table on a stack of books, and one of the books is a vintage Coraline book that I created. This little cathedral radio I love so much. It is a Bentley House Minis kit. Ara has these available in her store on her website. I will link that in the description box below. I have purchased several of these kits, put them together, sold them in my shop, and I just absolutely love this radio kit. It was matter of fact, I think it was the very first kit that I ever bought from Ara. I was looking for the cathedral type radio and saw the kit online during my Google search, and that is how I discovered Ara and Bentley House Minis. It sits on a lace runner, just cut from a piece of lace. And just like the lamp is plugged into the outlet in the wall, so is the radio. The radio does come with its own cord and plug. Underneath the table is a little basket that I created from a burlap ribbon, and inside the basket is a bunch of rolled up newspapers. Miss Margot uses those newspapers for the bird stand to catch the bird droppings. I created the shade and the little valance, but the curtain rod was already in the house. Actually, no, you know what? I made that curtain rod because the ends of that curtain rod were made from polymer clay. I couldn't even remember, but yeah, that rod I did make. Here is a photo of the Josephine House, and this is what it looks like in the front of the house. It's a brick house, and it has a covered porch. I know you can't really see it, and in this video you don't really see that part of the house. I should have showed that, but I didn't. But I did feel like a photo of the house needed to be in the house. This is Miss Margot's cockatoo bird, unlike my kiwi, who is a cockatiel. I wanted a cockatoo, but I'm glad I got a cockatiel. She's a lot smaller and probably more quiet. Miss Margot's bird's name is Tootie, and the bird was named Tootie because the husband used to play some instruments and he would toot the horn, and the bird would always mock it and toot along with it. So they decided to name the bird Tootie. I did make the bird stand and the dishes. One has water in it, one has bird seed. Sometimes he can be seen sitting on Miss Margot's chair or her shoulder, but he does love his bird perch. Now, I do have a bird cage for him that I will be creating and making over, and you'll see that project later on when I get to the living room. Here is another set of blinds and valance, and another one of those rods that I made. I just think they're so funny. This back wall that you're looking at, I did do a little bit of work on it. I did some aging to it since this video, and I also worked on this back corner under the stairs. So the wall is chipping a little back there, and there is a hall tree back there as well. That mailbox is no longer there. I removed it and replaced it with a mirror. Okay, tiny friends, that is it for the living room tour. I hope you have enjoyed this updated video of the original video. Other than what I have done and the pieces that I have added to it since originally posting this video, I still have some projects left to create for this space. So when I get back to it and I start to work on it, I'll go through everything that I've done since this video. If you've enjoyed this video today, please click that like button and give it a thumbs up, and let me know what you thought about some of these handmade pieces in the comments below. You'll find several links and tutorial videos to some of these pieces in the description box below if you would like to learn how to make one for yourself. And if you're new today and this is your first time visiting TinyKeyHoleMinis and you would like to see some of my miniature projects and creations, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click that top bell notification button to be notified every time I upload a new project so you don't miss out. As always, tiny friends, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you all so much for all of your support. It truly means the world to me. Coming up next will be part 2, and we're going to explore the kitchen. There's a lot more to see in there. So until next time, tiny friends, I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you all on the mini side. Bye-bye.